Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Well, today I'm going to take a look at this new little quadcopter from Holystone. This is HS210F. You can see the 210F label there on the side of the drone, but as you can see, it's very unique looking. It's the rear props here, the ducted rear props here are higher than the front. And that's because this has a very unique feature. This is a 2-in-1 land and air quadcopter. So not only will it fly around, do flips, all the stuff you expect, but I can sort of like drift car mode, I would say. You can drive it around on the floor down here. It needs to be a slick floor like your garage floor where I'm going to demonstrate today. You need a decent amount of room for it to move around as well because it doesn't really have reverse. So if you bump into something, you have to go pick it up and turn it around. And it has these red LEDs in the front and the rear of this drone, which I think looks pretty sharp as well. There's a little like modular style battery. I'm not going to pull it out. You have to like snap it backwards and pull it out. I don't know the capacity because if it's on there, it's too small to read. But it seemed to have pretty good flight time in my test. And your on and off switches here in the rear. Now here is the box. You can see the HS210F. And they mentioned 360 flips, altitude hold. You got 3 speed rates and that land and sky features. Now, speed rates seem to only be when you're flying it in the air. Now, this drone has a lot of controls. I'm gonna go over in a minute. You do have your charger, and that'll turn green. I think it just goes out when it's finished charging. Spare front and rear props, Phillips screwdriver and your prop pulling tool, and then you got your controller. And they give you a little cheat sheet, which I dropped. Let me pick that up. This little cheat sheet they give you that goes on the front will tell us some of the controls, but this has a lot of controls. So if I forget something, I'll try to mention it whenever we're flying it, because you have the different modes for the land and the air. But whenever you're just going to drive it on the ground, you don't have to necessarily switch modes. You just have it on the ground, and as long as you don't take off, you're going to be in land mode. So there's 2 ways to take off. You can do the auto takeoff, and that'll actually fly into the air. That's this button here. Or you can just toss the drone, toss and go. You throw it in the air, then you can fly it. And I'll show you that, guys. Otherwise, you're going to be in your land mode. And you've got your typical, on the land mode, you're going to ignore the throttle up and down. You do that, it does nothing. You're going to have your yaw, which is your steering. And then you have your controls here. Your pitch is going to be to kind of go forward. And if you hold it backwards, it'll do these like 360 spin outs, sort of automated. And then this button here, if you press this, it's like a cruise control. It'll just start going forward and then you just steer it. I didn't find that worked too well, but I'll try to demonstrate that. On the top, you have your 3 speed rates for flying. And then this one here is your 360 flips. Again, there's a lot of controls, so I might have forgot something. You do press in on the left stick and then the way you want to go to trim it. I did trim it up when I was flying it downstairs. I think a long press, it's headless mode on this one maybe. Again, it has it all on this little cheat sheet. It's a pretty self-explanatory on the stuff. And a long press on this top one will do a gyro calibration on your speed rate. So let's go ahead and set it down. We'll try the land mode and then we'll take it up in the air here and let you guys see the flips and stuff. So I wanted to make sure that we get everything in before the battery goes dead. The front is always the opposite side of the on and off switch. So the front here is up here on the nose. It's a little easy to get mixed up which way is the front. So just realize whichever side has the on and off switch is the rear. So let's go ahead and just try driving it on the ground. First, we can do a gyro calibration, even that shouldn't affect the land mode. But a long press, and you'll see the red lights rapidly flash, and now we're calibrated for level. So let's just go ahead and give it some forward with the pitch. You can see here that I can steer it. I think that's actually pretty cool. I've not seen a drone specifically like this. The ones typically that are for land and air are, you have to like switch a button and it'll like change the direction of the props or it'll move them. Like this one is a pretty neat little innovation that Holystone's come up with. I think there's a few similar ones out there. I bought something from Best Buy the other day for a couple, for like $1.50 that has, it's similar to this, but it's also will go in the water. So I'll be reviewing that pretty soon. All right, So you guys can see that works really well. Now I can't go backwards, but if I move the drone, we bring it closer to me. There's some grass clippings over here too. We don't want to get the drone too dirty, or it might get in the props and affect its ability to fly. But if we hold the backwards here on the pitch, it's going to do some like donuts, like, and you guys can see there, it's doing some 360 spin outs. Now it's not going to go good on this textured my driveway, so we can't even do it out here because of the texture. It's got to be a slick surface like your garage floor, maybe linoleum in your house, or the basement floor, something like that, is where you can drive this. And then there's that cruise control mode. Let's press that, and then I just steer it. And again, I don't find this mode to be that great. It's just like an automated, see? It's okay. And if I just press it again, it'll cancel it. So that's pretty much it on the land mode. Let's get it up in the air, because I think this thing flies really well. Let's, we can do the auto takeoff right here. And I'll do that, but I want to show you guys the hand toss. So let's go ahead and just do the auto takeoff. And it's really quiet, I mean, look at that. I believe those motors are direct driven, that's why they're so quiet and efficient. There's a little wind coming in here. I did have it trimmed up, but it could be, you know, wind coming in the garage here could cause it to drift some. So let's see if we just trim it up here. I'm gonna press in and give it some rear trim. All right, let's go ahead and try that hand toss. So I'm going to try an auto landing. Into my hand here. Let's try that. And again, the breeze is blowing this guy around because I had it really nicely trimmed up. Let's just toss it in the air. There it goes. I think that's cool. I had a Snaptane drone that did that years ago. That's the only one that I had that does that. Now there's 3 speed rates. Look how that yaw is very slow. So there's the middle rate and there's the highest rate. I'm going to have it in the highest rate. Now it's much more agile. And it seems pretty well trimmed up. We might want to go give it just a little right and maybe a little rear. Now, again, the wind really affects it. Let's do some 360 flips. This looks quite good for some of the odd design. Whoa, that one had a little trouble recovering. Let's try that again. That could have been a gust of wind came in and disrupted. Let's try that again. Yeah, a rear flip was really sloppy. I must not have tested that earlier because left and right, let's try left again. That's fine. Let's try right. Now, that one was a little sloppy. So as you can see, it's not a great flipper. The few flips I did inside, I guess I did it all to the left. Let's try forward. That was fine. Let's try forward again. Let's get a little closer. Huh. Let's try that rear. Yeah, as you can see, that's a little sloppy. Let's try right again. It just is hit and miss, but it seems like the backwards flip is the one it's the worst about. A little sloppy. But I think as in terms of just flying around, this thing flies pretty good. Just not the best at flipping 360 flips. I think a lot of that's that unique design with the front props and the rear props being at different height. It's not going to be the most agile in terms of, you see it kind of drifts when you're flying forward and sort of want to like turn. But you can see I was like, yeah, going here, I got some pretty tight funnels going there. So it's doing a little better at the funnels than I thought it would. I thought it might drift more. And you can see, guys, that works actually pretty good. So we can do an auto landing here. I'll show you guys, and we can go straight into the land mode now. And we're right into land. And again, if you give it throttle, it will not take off. That's sort of, I guess you could say, a safety feature so that you don't get confused and end up taking off. You can see as I'm turning, it will, and what it does to steer is it alternates the prop that's spinning. So you may have noticed that I was able to catch it there. You know, it's steering by turning off one of the props so that the air movement causes the drone or the quadcopter on the ground to steer. And as you're going forward, they both spin. Right now, you can see the left one there stops spinning. And it works that way. This works. The more I do this, the better I'm getting at the land. I mean, look at this. Now we can just stop, and if we want to go up into the air, we just hit the auto takeoff, and boom, we're in the air. I think it has a pretty cool design. It reminds me of something you might see in Star Wars or some sci-fi movie. It almost looks like something that a person would ride on. It almost has like a seahorse look to it or something. I don't know how else to describe it. But again, there's a breeze coming in here to the garage. It's kind of causing the quad to drift a bit because at times it's very stable. Other times it's kind of trying to take off on me because of the breeze. So you get it trimmed up, it may not be. It'll still be affected by the wind. Obviously, there's no GPS, there's no optical flow, but there is altitude hold. That way you know the left stick is self-centering. So it's a little easier to hold your altitude, see? I don't have to worry about keeping it at this level. The throttle maintenance and stuff you learn. A fully manual quad, you would have to constantly be giving it throttle to keep the altitude. Now, this rear flashing red light tells me we gotta be in low battery. So if I try to do a 360 flip now, I bet you I can't. Let's try it. No. And I always do that. That's disabled flips because the voltage is getting low and the quad's not gonna have the punch from the battery to recover. And we're gonna go ahead and land. That was sort of a rough landing, but the battery's telling me that we are dead. We're close to being dead. They cut off the battery voltage on these, you know, and it depends on the model, but you don't want a LiPo battery to go too low to damage it. So they cut off the voltage before the battery gets too low. All right, guys, that should wrap up the review of this little quad. It should be available today. I don't know if this will be May 18th. I have to double check which day. I need to post this the day that it becomes available, because obviously what good does it look at a drone if you can't buy it? So if you're interested in this, there'll be a purchase link in the video description and a pinned comment to pick this up from Amazon. I don't think it's gonna be too expensive, but I don't know the price right now. Holy Stone, of course, got this out to me before it's released to test it and review it. So be sure to check that. I'll also include any coupons. Usually there's a clippable code on Amazon where you just check the box and get a discount. That'll probably have this. But they also lots of times give me a code, so make sure you check down here. Don't go to Amazon straight and buy it, because you may save yourself, you know, 10–20% more if I have a coupon code. And of course, it always helps the channel. If you use the affiliate links, it does give me a very, very small, Amazon's affiliate is very tiny, but it helps support the channel and lets me dedicate time to making these videos for you guys. So, and you'll save money and help the channel, so it's a win-win for all of us. All right, guys, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. While you're at it, click that bell, that way you're notified every time I do upload a new video. And as always, guys, have a great day.
The power of the dark side.